across the World Wide Web, on your mobile devices, on social media platforms. This is Jambo Radio! www.jamboradio.co.uk. We are multilingual. We are conversational in the languages you best understand. We are Jambo Radio! Jambo Radio, inspiring transformation.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Moment with Sade and Enoch. We've got an incredible guest for you today. So I've got the ever beautiful Sade here as my co-host.
Hi,
and we've got the amazing John Paul with us here today.
Hello, what's up?
What's up? I'm loving the energy already. I'm loving the energy. Right?
That's such a nice radio voice too.
Listen, we're gonna give you your own show.
Up my game here.
We're gonna give you your own show, or you're gonna make me jobless. You're gonna take my job.
Never, ever. I'll take Enoch job.
Moments with Sade and John Paul.
Yeah, that
sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay,
it's like a dreaming program.
This could be this could be my last show then.
No, come on. We want to keep you in business. You're so influential that we want to keep you in the business. So please.
But guys, John Paul has got an amazing story, right? So I've known John Paul before, but then I ran into him a few weeks ago at the Law Society of Scotland
annual dinner.
It's this posh affair, and I just blended in. I tried to be posh as well, but you know how it is. Black tie and all that stuff. And I saw this other black guy looking all bougie, and I was like, who is this guy? But anyway, we got chatting, and within 5 minutes of chatting to John Paul and just hearing his story, the first thing I said was, I need to bring you my radio show because it's just got an incredible story, which again, for some of you listening to the show today, you can see yourself in that story, and hopefully then you can see yourself being or becoming or going on a similar journey to John Paul. Hopefully it will inspire you.
Yeah.
But that's what we've got for you today. You can join us on the show. It's 0141 530 2787, or you can send us a WhatsApp 0745 990 6822.
And also you can message us on Facebook, Jambo Radio Scotland, or on Hex. I still find it weird saying that. X, Jambo Radio 1. If you're on Instagram, like myself, you can also send us a message, DM there, at jamboradio.scotland. And you can send us an email, info@jamboradio.co.uk. If you also want to download the Jambo Radio app, that's a bit tongue twisting for me, sorry guys. Yeah, so if you want to download the Jambo Radio app, you can do that on your Android phone or your Apple phone.
Fantastic. So John's story, as I said, incredible. So imagine relocating to a country where you don't speak the language. So imagine you moving from, say, a Ghana where you've been speaking English all your life and relocating to Belgium where they speak French, right? So that's basically what John Paul has done. He relocated from Congo, having practiced law in Congo for about a decade. Moved to the UK, English speaking, starting from scratch, and having to navigate all that. First navigating the language, and then once the language barrier is crossed to an extent, then navigating the career challenges. I've said it on this show a few times, the law career, getting into law in the UK is one of the hardest places to be, right? I know a lot of careers are hard to get into, but getting into law is very hard. It's still a very cliquey profession. There's a lot of who you know type thing. And the profession itself is trying, and we're going to touch on that, John Paul, because you're now part of the Law Society's board. You're on some committee here, so they are trying to start making changes. But changes take time. It's not instant.
Yes.
It's slow and steady. And we need people like John Paul and people like like organizations like Black Professionals United Kingdom to continue to push, to drive, to challenge organizations like Law Society Scotland to drive those changes. Anyway, on that note.
Yes, so I was carried away with what you're saying there.
You're enjoying my voice.
I don't know about that. But anyway, so can you tell our listeners who John Paul is without saying what you do for work in 30 seconds?
John Paul, I'm a lawyer from Congo.
You've just said you're a lawyer. I said you shouldn't tell us what you do.
Oh.
We always
I think you're not being clear, Sade.
It's okay.
John Paul, I live in Glasgow.
Yes.
I've been married for 32 years. And with my wife, we have 7 boys. But we reached 7 because we were looking for a girl. But it
So you're
didn't.
still working on it.
It's unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
Wow.
That's who I am. Still in the lookout for a girl.
That is incredible. 7 boys. 7 boys. How old is the oldest?
The oldest is now 28,
And
the
the youngest?
youngest is 8.
Wow. Impressive.
Impressive.
We need to say well done to your wife.
Yeah.
Impressive.
She's a
And-
strong woman.
I mean, with the story we're about to share right now, I don't know how you were able to do all that, but we'll get into that.
Oh dear.
So, John Paul, I love names. You've got a very strong, powerful sounding name. So, what does Kasusula mean? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah. What does it mean, and what part of the world is that name from?
I'm from Congo, and particularly from the east part of Congo. So if you look on African map, you see where Sudan is.
Yes.
So it's that in that part of Congo, the northeast. So next to Uganda, Rwanda, on the
Right.
top north, we're
Right.
close to Sudan.
Okay.
That's where we are from.
Okay.
And in all honesty, Kasula doesn't mean anything. It's just a name. It's just a name. And the surprising thing is that anyone who got that name is from our family. It's not like some names, for instance, in English,
Yeah.
Smith can be shared by 100
Yeah.
people without being related.
Yeah.
So because our name is, I don't know, but anyone who got that name is part of our family. And we have a very extensive family. If you just will go on Google and type Kasusula, you find that we are many, but we all connected.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's really impressive.
And it's interesting as well that I said the name doesn't necessarily have a meaning.
I like first of all to apologize for my English because I'm a French speaker.
Ah,
so
come on, man.
It's
Your English is
perfect.
amazing, man. Your English is better than Sade's.
Oh, come on.
But anyway, so
He does that to me on the show all the time.
so,
Like-
but it is better though. Like, let's be frank. Let's get back on topic. Let's get back on topic.
He's very rude.
Bring it back in. Bring it
It's
back
so
in.
rude.
Bring it back
I'm sure our
in.
listeners know that already. You're shocked, right? I could see it on your face.
Bring it back in.
It's
Bring
fine.
it
I'm
back
used
in.
to it.
I didn't expect that.
I'm used to it.
The surprising
It does that
thing
to me a
is
lot.
we, and myself, I'm included. You're probably included as well. Probably assume African names have meaning
Yeah.
because, like, we're from Nigeria, and Nigerian names have meaning.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear that your name, and is that just your name, or are there names in Congo that just are names? They don't actually mean anything.
I very much appreciate my Nigerian brothers and sisters because I have one of my clients. Her child's name was so long that it could not even fit on
Fit
the
the form.
passport. And very often it would be Adihula Lulu, all of that. And it could not even fit in the passport, believe me.
Wow.
And then all those names got meaning. But that's very good. But we don't have this type of culture
Okay.
back home. We just have names, but
okay.
it doesn't
Means
must not
something.
mean anything.
Okay, not necessarily.
No, but for instance, in my case, Kasusula Wapene Alaf Bania. But that's just an additional because we are also part of the Swahili background.
Okay.
So Wapene Alaf Bania means son of Pene Alaf Bania. But that's not the name, that's the middle name. But the family name is Kasusula.
Okay.
But
okay.
Wapene Alaf means son of.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's so lovely.
So son of that.
Yes.
You moved to the UK back in 2007
Correct.
from Congo.
Yes.
Why did you decide to move to the UK? And I'll put this twist on it as well. Why not France?
Because coming to Europe on its own is a challenge. Coming to the UK was the only opportunity I had.
Okay.
For me, it was already fantastic. It was the first time to
Yeah.
come to Europe. And then I wanted to have an international background because I was already a lawyer back home. And then I had ambition. Say, what can I add to what I had already? And then studying English law was an objective for me. I wanted to achieve that so that I can have what I've achieved today, to have 2 law degrees. being educated to degree level on both English and French, that was what I wanted to achieve. So going to France was not really an option for me because I had already a degree in French. So I wanted to add something more, and the UK offered me that opportunity.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what country, I mean, when you came into the UK, where did you settle in initially?
Scotland.
Scotland. So you came straight to Scotland.
Straight to Scotland.
Okay, and how many, we're going to keep track of the kids. How many kids did you relocate with when you came?
We had back then 4 kids.
4 kids.
Okay.
So you came with 4 kids.
Yes.
Impressive.
Okay, that's interesting.
Impressive.
And then you taught yourself English, and what was it like for you? I'm just thinking, sitting here, that must be very difficult.
It was.
If anyone should ask me to learn another language at this stage, I'm just going to run away. How did you navigate
I
that?
felt lost, first of all, because coming to a foreign country, and it was the first time for me to travel to come to Europe. So it was a shocking experience.
Everything was new.
Everything was new, starting with the language, the culture. Everything was just not something that I was used to. But I had an ambition. Ambition was like fuel inside me, pushing me to face all the challenges and have hope that one day we'll overcome and then we'll succeed. So having that hope helped me to cope. So because I started with learning the language first. I attended a college here in Glasgow. Back then, today they call it City College of Glasgow. Back then, it was Glasgow College of Commerce.
Okay.
But the way they were teaching English, for me, it was just boring because they call it full time, but for me, it was a joke. You come at 11, you play roles after 2 hours, you have a break, and then you come back again, you have some exercise, and that was the end of it. So for me, that was a joke.
It wasn't intense enough.
Because back home, when we were attending uni, we were going from 8 to 6. We were used to that type of education. So coming to the UK for me, that must be a joke. Then I said to myself, look, that's a joke. I need to do things differently. But they told me that don't leave the college because the college was giving us back pass back then. When you're studying, they'll give you a bus pass.
Okay.
So you can travel for free.
Okay.
They were paying you also something, and also they warned me that if you want to go to uni, you need to be backed up by college.
Okay.
So that's why I remained in the college, but I designed my own way of teaching myself English. So I went to the library, selected some book, and I have to say I was fortunate to have just the type of book that I was looking for. The book was called Grammar in Context. The advantage of that book was they'll put theory in one page, is very small, and then they put exercises, and at the end you have the answers. So basically you didn't really need a teacher. So if you're motivated, you have some kind of background, you can make progress. Every time you turn the page, you have a different topic. It was fantastic. So I have that book, Grammar in Context. So on one page you have the plural of name. They'll give you the exercises, the theory first, then the exercise, and then they'll tell you can find the answer on that page. So you read the theory, do the exercise, and then check it. So I was amazed. So it was like an enlightenment reading that and making that progress on your own. It was a really exciting experience.
Impressive.
Wow.
Impressive.
That's so high happening. And then was it Enoch that mentioned to me that you sat for, is it IELTS? Is that still the name they call it at that point in time? Some exams basically.
Oh, IELTS.
Is it, or what do you call it? Is it
IELTS.
Is it IELTS? Okay.
Yes.
For some reason in Nigeria, I think they just call it IE.
It's the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, it's just the way they pronounce it. They pronounce it with the IELTS.
Yes.
At least the last time I heard about it, that was what it was called, IELTS.
Yes.
So
you have to sit that exam because they need to check your level of English, because I was studying law and English was not my first language. So they need to ensure that you'll be able, first of all, to understand and cope. So I had a deadline because I had only 9 months to get ready to sit that exam.
Okay.
So I came here in 2007, and in 2009, I was already starting my law education. So I didn't have really much of time. So I have to spend 9 hours a day teaching myself English.
Wow.
So what I'll do in the morning, I'll wake up at 6, I'll take my book, Grammar and Context, read the theory, do the exercise for 3 hours. I'll have a rest for 3 hours. Then I'll take Metro newspaper. I'll read that with a dictionary.
Oh, Metro.
Metro. Yeah, the Metro.
Metro.
I'll just step out to go on the street, on the bus station,
pick one up.
pick up, and I had my dictionary. Back then, the internet was not that great. Today, it was that easy. So I'll sit down, use the dictionary, reading the words. If I come across new words, I'll check up on the dictionary and then write the meaning. So there are still number of words that I still remember to this day. When I come across the one reading those those newspaper, then I come across a word like aftermath.
Aftermath, okay.
Aftermath. So sometimes you can guess the meaning of the word.
But aftermath, you
But
can't guess that one. Yeah.
I could not guess. I still remember to this day. So what can aftermath mean? Another word was out of the blue.
I see what you mean.
So what that means?
Yeah.
So when I come across this word, I say, "Oh my God, out of the blue." Aftermath.
Dictionary.
I checked the dictionary. I could not find. So these are expressions. There are no words actually.
yeah.
These are expressions, but the dictionary will give you words, not expressions. So I have to go and ask my teacher. So what that means, then explain that to me. So after
because as you're learning, you're using it as well.
Yeah.
As you speak.
So I'll spend 3 hours reading newspaper.
Grammar, context, and all
So I'll start with grammar in the morning. After that, then I'll move to the newspaper, and then in the afternoon, I'll now do challenges. So you read, and then something answer questions. You read the text, and then there are questions that you need to answer to check if you understand the meaning. So you read the text, and then they'll ask you a question now. That's how I was mixing. And because the shocking thing was that I didn't have any friend back then, it was difficult even to talk to your neighbor. I had no one to speak to improve my speaking
Your
and
English,
my
yeah.
listening. So the way I overcome it was the sleeping with the radio. So I have to put BBC World Service. They speak very good English, by the way. But the problem was my wife didn't stand having the radio on during the night. So I have to sleep with my headphones so that I can listen just myself, because I could not spare any opportunity improving my listening. Then I said, okay, because she's annoyed with the radio on, then I'll find my headphones.
I will take stock so far of what you've shared, right? So again, I want your story. I want someone listening to this story to learn so much from it. So there are some people that have just come to the UK in the last 3, 4, 5 years, right? And they are still this part of your story, they are still there, still trying to find their feet. So I've picked a few things from your story. So the first one is ambition. You had this clear ambition of, I want to achieve this, right? So for you, it was, I want to study law in English, so I can have the French and the English. Clarity. And then there was something you said I thought was really powerful. I liked it. You said, having hope helps you cope. You know, so you hope, because sometimes when we are in this of dark place, it's difficult to get going because we can't see the light. But somehow you found a way to have that light, that there's hope at the end of the tunnel. Then that made you study English for 9 hours. That made you listen to BBC World Service. That made you go pick up Metro, because you had that hope. You had that belief that it's going to get better. Because if you don't have that belief, you won't do some of these things you did. You'll be like, these guys never let me study law. What's the point? You know, let me just get some job.
Some people from our community were even laughing at me, because when I came here, I was 40 already. And then they were wondering what this gentleman is doing. You're going to uni, you can gain money from doing any job. And with the money, you can have a 60-inch TV, buy a second-hand car,
and just
living
your life.
Just enjoy your life. But the problem was, I had already another degree, and I was a lawyer back home, so I didn't see myself doing this job. Not that I don't like those jobs, but it was just not part of my dream.
You had a plan.
I had a plan and a hope and another ambition. I said, if I have to pay the price, let it be.
So bad.
No. Again, something you said there is really powerful, because sometimes when people move here at that age, so 40, you think life has ended, and you just say, I'll just take whatever I can, and the hope now is hopefully my kids will be okay. I can take the sacrifice for my kids to be okay. But your plan is, I want to be okay, and I want my kids to be okay as well. And that's really powerful, because a lot of times when I meet people relocating
It's
around
more
that
for their
age,
kids.
at that point they're not the ambition is gone, because they've just come in thinking, I'll never get a chance, you know what, so let me just get a job, just as you said, get a job, get a car, get a nice, just live a decent life, and then the kids at least will have a good life. So again, it's for that 40-year-old person that is listening to this today, or even 50-year-old saying, you can still start again. You can definitely start again. So thank you. But anyway, we'll continue. I'm just enjoying. I'm just
it's
enjoying
really
this story.
interesting.
Thank you.
And I'm so considering the fact that you said that you were already working in Congo, like you've had like several years of experience. So coming into the UK and the job market, what was it like for you at that time?
Honestly, I didn't have any clue. That was another expression. You didn't have any clue.
Okay, that's
I have a number of expressions. I have no clue. So when I come to this expression, I was lost.
Okay.
Honestly, I didn't care. I'm someone who enjoy learning.
Sounds like it.
Honestly. I have to share you guys something. I was born in a house without electricity. And despite the fact that we didn't have electricity, my father ensured that every single day we study with a lamp. Sometimes you use just a piece of cloth, you put oil on it, and you just light it. Whether you go a homework or not, when it's 5 o'clock, whether you go homework or not, you need to go on your desk, read, study, and before you go to sleep, you need to go to the dad's rooms, tell him what you've learned on that day.
Wow.
You'll study, and before you go to sleep, you knock the door. Daddy, I've completed my task today. This is what I've learned today. Say, okay, good. You can go to sleep. I think this was what built me, because
Got you ready.
because you have no idea living in a house without electricity, doing your homework with a lamp fueled by oil. It was just not appropriate, because the smoke, you don't have really clear reading on your document. And I have to share that. We have to share that with 3 people, my big brother and my big sister. So we need to put the lamp in a way that it does the shadow.
There's no light for everybody.
But the smoke was there.
I was thinking of that as well.
So we need to stand. My brother usually was to stand in front of me, and my sister will be on the other side. And we need to put the light this way so that it doesn't touch anyone. And then we need to sit there for nearly 2 hours before you go to sleep, and then you go after that to tell that this is what I've learned. I believe this is what shaped me, being able to do things,
Just
keep learning. And also I have to say it matched my personality, because I'm someone who honestly are interested in learning.
So go here. So you came here with that knowledge of, I'm going to study. So
No.
that was no surprise to you.
No, I needed to have an international background.
Okay.
So I wanted to start. I knew that I wanted to start.
So you knew. So just to be clear, did you know you were going to be studying law for 4 years?
Definitely. No,
Okay.
no, not for 4 years. I had just ambition, but I didn't know what that involved.
Okay.
I just had ambition.
Okay.
That's what I wanted.
Okay.
So to the extent that when I started the college, I send out email to university, to the law society, even the law society. I send out. I still have those emails. Send out. So this is who I am. I want to practice law in this country. What shall I do? I remember the answer that I received from the law society. They replied to my email. They say that, okay, if you want to practice law, you have two options. You can sit an exam to prove that you know Scottish law, or you can go back and study law at uni and then come to practice. So the answer was clear that you need to go back to how can you sit an exam of a legal system that you don't know.
So working wasn't just the main thing for you then, it was just studying at that point in time for you at that point?
No, I was not really interested in working because with the language barrier, I could not afford to work and study at the same time.
Right.
And also, I came from an educational system whereby we didn't have access to library, and our book in our university were so old that the teacher will put what we used to call syllabuses. It means the teacher will do all the research and put them together in a book. All you need to do is just to study that book, so that it ensures that you have up-to-date. Because we didn't have access to up-to-date library. The book was so old that you can't rely on that to have an education. So the teacher will do a syllabus and then you just buy that and then you study. So we were kind of lazy because all you need to do is just to read the syllabus and then you can sit your exam. But here, it was not the case. They just give you a skeleton of the course. And then you need to design your own courses, what you need to prepare for the exam. If you add that to the difficulty of the language, I was completely lost. So, and the assignment as well. I was working like a clock, 7 days a week. On Sunday, I'll go to the church. After the church, I'll go to the library. No rest. You won't believe it, but that's how was the challenge.
And for someone listening to this, so again, maybe someone that's relocated to the UK with children, you've just shared that you focused on the study. So how were you surviving as a family financially?
Without a job.
I call my wife the majority shareholder. That's how I call her. Because she was the one who sustained us when I was studying. She was doing a care job and she was being paid £600 a month. That's what we were living on. So we were just living with £600 a month. That was enough to sustain us, to pay our bill. And I still remember one of the picture we had. We were waiting for the buses not far from here, and we were on the bus station with all the children, and we had one on the pram, and all the children were standing together, and my wife was just standing next to the bus station. She looked very tired with all the children. We were waiting for the bus to go home. So that's the picture of the life that we're living. 6 boys taking the bus. Can you imagine? That's the life we had for nearly, because I had to complete the whole LLB first, doing the diploma in legal practice. So that takes you 6 years to complete all of that. For 6 years, she was one parent.
And I think that then connects to that whole point around.
Kudos to her.
Yeah, well done to her.
You know, she's listening.
That's why I call her the majority shareholder.
Yeah, she is.
And so she can call me anytime. She say, "Oh, I need money. Can you put the money there?" So I'll just put without hesitation.
Yes.
Because she's done.
Yeah, she's the majority shareholder.
And for this to have happened, everything that's happened to you, I was going to ask, but we've come to it. You needed a village around you. Your village was your wife, your children, people that they were playing their own part for you to be able to study non-stop, do all those things you did. So again, for someone listening out there, and maybe you don't have a family, but try and create a community of people around you. And it could just be a community of people that will be inspiring and telling you positive stuff like, just keep going, just have one more year to go. You need that positive reinforcement. Would you agree?
Absolutely, because back home when I was studying law, we had psychology, sociology as one of the topic, and our teacher told us that human beings are social animals. They need to be surrounded by people who they love and they support them for them to exist and to feel comfortable. So you can't live on your own. You know, sometime in immigration challenge, there is an issue of relocation. So if someone, for instance, come to the UK, claim asylum, and then they say that my life has been threatened. Let's take Nigeria, for instance. So that I'm from the north, I'm Muslim, I converted to Christianity, and then they claim asylum on that basis. So the Home Office can refuse that claim by saying that, look, if you don't live in the north, you can go in the south. Then the question I ask the judge is this: how can you think that someone can relocate from the north to the south and being in isolation? So if they go back, they'll definitely need to connect with the family. The children must go to school. They need to go to church, and they need to be on social media. So how do you think that if this people life is being threatened, how can they go back to Nigeria and live in isolation? So you need to have this support from people that you know and that you love, and then they'll support you. That gives you the strength to cope, because you're not on your own.
Oh, that's so interesting. Thank you so much. And what I want to do is, so I just want to have a picture of how everything evolved. So currently, I think we're at where you were studying, like, you know, preparing yourself, going to the library, spending all your time to just study for your law program. So can you just take us on a journey? So how did that all happen? How did you succeed? How did you then start looking for a law type of job? And
so my life was evolving around my education. I didn't have any friend back then. I was not going out because we didn't have enough money. With £600, you can't do much really. So my life was, I was spending my whole life in the library because I have assignment. I have to do. It was taking all my time, and I really mean it. All my time. I'll leave the house at 6 o'clock, and then I'll come back at 11. So I was spending my entire life in the library. I'll tell you one story. One day, it was during the winter time, because usually I finish around 10 or 11. And
you mean at the library?
Yeah, the library. Okay. And then I was doing something then. I was a bit delayed. Okay. And I was usually catching the last bus. Then during the winter, I was coming out of the library and I saw the bus. Oh, no. I ran. I caught the bus. I knocked the door.
It didn't open. It looked at you.
It looked at me.
And then it drove off.
Oh dear.
I feel that. I saw it recently actually, and I felt for that guy.
Winter time. Honestly, I was spending my life in the library. Left to the house, we'll go reading, do the assignment, we'll take the last bus, come home. Because my wife knew what I was doing, so she'll never complain. She knew that that's the price we have to pay. So just welcome me. And our favorite program was Cheater.
So that series. Yes. So they stopped that one. I used to enjoy that as well.
So when I come home, she'll welcome me.
Okay.
I'll have a food, and then we'll sit watching our program. So years after years, that's what I was doing. Okay. And I didn't have any other life. I can't go on holiday. I could not afford going
Can't even go
out.
back home.
No.
Yeah.
I could not afford to travel. I could not go to a restaurant or any. We're just surviving. So really surviving. Just having the basics so that we can move to the next day. That's how the life was. So everything was only about my education. So everyone, particularly my wife, she was focused on that. She knew that I was extremely busy. So she will avoid any quarrel, so that
so just focus on
studying.
So
just focus on. So basically, for 6 years, my life was just all about my education. Impressive. So I'll just go to study, come, eat, rest, and wake up in the morning, do the same and again.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing I was doing.
Yeah. So that means that I'm trying to do the math. So that means by 2015, you had your diploma.
So I studied English for 1 year.
1 year, okay, not 2 years.
I came in 2007. I studied English 2008, I started the diploma. No, the
Law degree.
The law degree. It took me 4 years.
Okay.
Completed the,
Takes us to 2012.
and then I completed the
Diploma.
diploma in legal practice.
That's 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Takes us 2013.
Then
Right.
I struggled to find a traineeship for 2 years. It was really hard to find a traineeship.
So for those listening to this, just so they understand what traineeship means, how
So-
important it is, and what it is.
If you
and what
don't,
is it?
so before you to become a lawyer, you need 1, a degree, 2, diploma in legal practice, 3, 2 years of traineeship.
You must have
Till
those
now.
Till now,
Till now.
yes,
Okay.
it's mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years of traineeship. So a law firm must take you on to show you the job, so that you know what the job involves, and then you become fully qualified lawyer. So you need to find a firm that will give you that job. That's the challenge. How do they take you on board?
That's especially for you with an African accent in your 40s.
Particularly those things,
yeah.
because I made nearly 100 applications. I got only 2 interviews, but with no success.
Oh my God.
It was so frustrating.
Can imagine.
I was just wondering what is going on.
Yeah.
I got told the degrees, and yet I'm struggling to find a traineeship.
And when you're finishing your degree and your diploma, did you think once I finish my diploma?
That was my dream.
That was
That was my expectation.
Expectation.
I'll tell you a story. My first job was in Belfast. When I completed my degree, since I could not find a traineeship, I was looking for a full-time job. And the first one I got was in Belfast. I was working as a customer care service. So I had to leave my family here and to go to Belfast, rent a room, and work there as a customer care service. And then coming time to time to spend time with my family. In Belfast, I met a Congolese guy, and then I told him about my story. And what he noticed that when we were in Belfast, every time we were passing by a law firm, he saw sadness on me. And then one day he asked me, John, what's going on? Every time that we pass by a law firm, I see you becoming sad. And then I told him that whenever I see a law firm, is an interpolation for me of what I cannot achieve becoming a lawyer. So when I come across a law firm, when I look at it, I say, oh my God, that's what I cannot achieve. And that made me very sad.
very sad. This story is amazing, and believe it or not, we have spent 45 minutes. So we've got 15 minutes, so we're going to fire trace very quickly. So trying to get a traineeship, that was tough.
Yeah.
So then talk us through how you finally got the breakthrough as quickly as possible.
Especially you mentioned discrimination is something most Africans
yeah,
Absolutely.
facing
Many
immigration journey.
Many people are not
Yeah.
aware. I'm not saying that Scotland is racist. No,
No,
that's
no.
not the
Yeah.
point. Scotland is a very welcoming country.
Indeed, yes.
But still, there are out there
Yep.
people who will never give you a traineeship because your name doesn't sound familiar, and you'll struggle. My chance was the fact that I volunteered with a firm for 2 years when I was a student, and it was run by a Pakistani-born British who enjoyed the work that I was doing. Then in acknowledgement of the work that I did for him, then he gave me traineeship. So I owe this gentleman a lifetime gratitude, because without him, I've never been a lawyer. And that made me honestly very sad, because look how fragile the journey was. Without that gentleman, I could have never be a lawyer today.
All those years of study, all that sacrifice by the whole family.
Honestly, when I think about it to this day, it still makes me sad. So how fragile the journey was. Without him, I could have not been a lawyer. That's why I feel today empowered, encouraged to give people hope, to tell them that you need to have ambition. And if you're struggling for traineeship, call us. Even if we cannot give you a traineeship, we can offer you at least work experience.
Just something on
And
your
we can
CV.
see around us. If we have an opportunity,
Mm.
we'll channel it.
Fantastic. So eventually you got your traineeship.
Yeah.
So when was this on the? I'm just trying to follow on the map. So was this after Belfast?
After 2 years.
Yeah.
After 2 years of graduation,
Yep.
because I worked as a customer care service for nearly 2 years.
In
and
Belfast?
I was in Belfast first, then I went to London.
Yep.
After London, I moved to Edinburgh. After Edinburgh, I was just looking
For
for a
customer
job.
service?
Yes.
Wow.
Honestly, you cannot imagine how frustrated that was.
And the interesting thing is, how did you keep the hope alive? Because this is
In
now
that
2
moment,
years in.
Yeah. And we're even still looking for at that point.
Honestly, I didn't see myself doing anything else apart from being a lawyer.
So that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's why I was about to tell you how frustrated I was. Every time that I have to wake up in the morning, go to do that job of customer care service, I was feeling so frustrated. I was asking myself, what is the point of investing in your life, having 2 law degrees, and end up answering phones? What's wrong with you, John? You have 2 law degree, and yet you have to wake up every morning, go answering phone calls, inquiry. Must be something wrong with you.
Yeah. So you thought the problem was you. Yeah. After a while, you start blaming yourself.
Yes.
That there must be something. It must be something you're not doing.
Yeah.
Or something.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So eventually, you got the traineeship.
Yes.
And traineeship is 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Okay. So you stayed with the company or with the law firm for 2 years.
So you need to make the calculation. 1 year for English, 4 years for the LLB,
Yep.
another
1
year
for diploma.
for diploma,
2 years.
2 years
less.
wasting,
Yeah.
and then another 2
2
years.
years of traineeship.
It took me
Traineeship.
10 years,
10 years.
to
eventually
become
a
fully
lawyer,
qualified
solicitor.
lawyer.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how
to-
long.
To quickly check, right? I might be wrong or very naive, right? If there is this issue and it's still ongoing, what are the universities doing to actually, like you said, I'm not sure to what point you went for the 2-year practice with this person that eventually stepped in that helped. Are there anything currently like baked in the program to even help make it easier for their law students when they graduate, for
They
example?
have attempt to address the issue of diversity in the legal professional, but it end up by the people who are making decision. The program can be there. If someone doesn't want
Okay.
black people in the firm,
There's no black
Oh,
person.
right.
because
Okay.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Are they willing
People
to
willing
open
to-
up the
yeah,
doors
yeah.
All
to
right.
welcome
So it's not
those-
as if it's not available.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
there are rules, yeah.
Yeah.
it's just okay.
Because
down to
if you run your own firm,
Right.
no one is going to force you to
Yeah,
take
can do whatever
someone
you
that
want.
you don't
Yeah.
like. The program for diversity
Is there.
Is there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, is the person
You
who
need to
run the
decide.
business that will
Yeah.
decide
Yep.
whether they take you or not.
I
Yep.
see.
10 years
Yeah.
for me to become a lawyer
So
in the way that I told.
2017, you became a lawyer.
Yes.
Did you have any big celebration? Tell me, what did that feel like?
You know, I'm not a millionaire, but I am one of the happiest man on earth because I know where I came from. Remembering the house without electricity where I was born, I still remember to this day. And I still look back, enjoy every single day of the privilege that I have today, running my own firm, having people working for me. Not only I run my own firm, but I have full-time staff that work for me. For me, is a lifetime achievement.
And I agree with you, because when I ran into you at the dinner,
Yeah.
I remember clearly, because when I got to my told Sade, I remember clearly saying he was so happy about the fact that he's just paid
Oh, yeah, he
salaries.
told me.
Yeah.
Because we were very happy. There was so much
Absolutely.
joy that
Absolutely.
I've paid people's
Yeah, he
salary
told me.
today.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
genuinely, I do share in that joy, because I remember that clearly when I got to him. I was like, oh, this guy, man, like, he was so happy, just paid
Yeah.
salary today, you know. And
Yeah.
and I guess for you, it's the fact that you can do that
Yeah.
that gives you joy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, you know, I still remember how weak and how fragile the journey was. So I couldn't have known I'd be a lawyer today. Being it, I need to enjoy it.
Yep.
So every time I woke up in the morning, dressed like I am, I feel very privileged.
Yeah, today's a great day.
Honestly,
Today is a great day. Okay,
that's okay.
so qualified.
Yeah.
How did you then go from that to starting your own law firm?
business, yeah.
So that was 2017.
It was the COVID that
Okay.
gave me finally the opportunity to think
Okay.
about my future.
Okay.
So before COVID, which was 2020, were you still with that law firm?
So I was working with, the name of the firm is Legal Solicitors.
Mhm.
When I was with them, then I was headhunted by a different firm.
Okay.
They came to contact me. They said that, okay, how much are you being paid here? Then I told them that back then I was paying 20,000 a year. Then I said that we're going to bring it to 28,000 if you join us. I didn't think twice. I joined them.
Okay.
I joined them. After 1 or 2 years, then another company also came to see me. So, okay, how much they pay you here? Say 28. So we'll give you 35. Can you join us? I joined them, Livingston Brown Solicitors.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So after just joining them, after 2 months, then the COVID hit,
Right.
and I was followed.
Okay.
Then I had a lifetime opportunity to think about my future.
Yeah, what's next?
Then I said to myself, if
And
I
at this point, you've had 5 years of law experience, 2 years as a
Yeah.
trainee,
Yeah.
3 years as
then I said to myself, if I don't do it now, I'll
You
never
never
do
will,
it.
yeah.
I'd rather try and fail
Then not
rather
to try
than
at
being
all.
scared.
Yeah.
That's why during the COVID, when people were bored, not doing anything, I was working very hard, doing the research. How can I set up my own firm? Where do I get the money? What do I need? What kind of skill that I need to build? I was extremely busy. For instance, just writing the web content. I had to prepare. We'll have a website, but who's going to write that for me? I need to do that myself, and I need to check other law firm how the
What they're
website,
doing.
what they're doing.
Yes.
Then it was like a dissertation because you need to write all the type of the visa. You need to read and prepare because the the webmaster will just design the web, but the
Yes,
content.
yes. give him all the content.
Now,
Yeah.
when you set up the law firm, how do you run it? You need to know how to run the law
Yeah,
firm.
yeah.
So you need to read the accountancy rules and all of that. So it was a massive challenge.
Oh, you really love to learn. I love that about
Absolutely.
you.
And
You
then
really do.
when we came out of COVID, it was just I just jumped like to
Yeah.
the unknown.
Yeah,
I'll say
yeah.
I'd rather
Let's do
fail
this.
by
Yeah.
trying rather than being scared.
Yeah.
And here we are.
There we are. Wow. So started in COVID and now we're in 2025. You've got a growing law firm.
Absolutely, we're
Law-
very
Yep.
successful to our level.
Yep.
Some people may look at us and say, "Oh, having 4 people in law firm, what is that?" But for us, it means the
Success.
world.
It's a milestone, yeah.
Yep.
It means the word,
Yep.
because remember, you need to put things into context. Remember where I came from.
Yep. Not so long ago. Not so long
Not
ago.
so long,
And
yeah.
the journey ahead is still far. So, so what law, if I may ask, what law do you specialize in? Or do you have a
90% of our workload is immigration.
specialization? Okay.
But the problem is that because back home, we could not specialize in one area of law, so we were teaching on everything. So
Okay.
I had a mindset. So sometimes people come to me, can you do a divorce? I'll do that. So can you help me with criminal matters? We do that, but we don't too much because stepping out of immigration in different area of law take time because you need to familiarize yourself with the rules and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whenever I can, I enjoy challenges.
Okay.
So I do sometimes personal injury as well,
Okay.
criminal, family matters.
Okay.
We do that, but not too much.
What's
but
the name of your law firm?
Cas and Co solicitors.
So
So
from
Cas
your
is the
surname.
short of my
Yeah.
name, Kasusula.
Okay.
I wanted to make it short to make
Okay.
it easy to pronounce.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's why.
Cool.
Fantastic. I'm
No.
happy to go. I've got
Yeah,
lots.
I can see you. You're
Yeah,
gagging.
so
Yeah.
and then how did that journey get you into Law Society of Scotland? Because you're on a committee or a
Yeah,
board.
so they advertise for people to represent lawyers to the Law Society.
Okay.
I applied to represent Glasgow,
Okay.
and then I was elected.
Okay.
So I joined the Law Society representing Glasgow for the last 3 years.
Okay.
So that's why
Yep.
I attended the
The
Law Society
yeah.
annual dinner
Yep.
as the representative
Yeah.
of the lawyer of Glasgow.
Yeah. And what does that entail? What do
So
you do
you
in that
like
role?
an MP
Yeah.
for the solicitors.
So sort of getting feedback.
So getting feedback and then channel
funneling
to the
it.
law society
Yep,
so
and-
that
and trying to
the
influence
voice,
lots
the
of-
voice
yeah.
can be heard. Because if you have a problem, then you need to speak to your MP. So the MP will take note and they will speak to the law society. Okay, lawyer are facing this issue. Can we address this? A typical example can be the wage of trainee solicitors.
Okay.
When I started my traineeship, lawyers were paying minimum wage, and then the solicitor started complaining. So how can a solicitor being paid minimum wage
after all that stuff,
after
those
all
years of
this
study?
sacrifice?
Yeah.
Then they raise it to living wage. You see, so no longer minimum wage. So they bring it to living wage.
Yeah.
So that's how we can shape the
Yep.
future of the
Yep.
legal profession
Yep.
by listening to the concern and then bringing them to the law society.
Because you want the profession to be sustainable. You
Absolutely.
still want to be attracting people into the
Absolutely.
profession.
Absolutely.
And do you get to share your story within the profession? I think that's really important. Do you get that opportunity, or do you even put yourself forward?
We don't
for that?
have many of those opportunities. That's why I enjoy this opportunity you guys are giving us. Honestly, you cannot imagine how proud I feel being in this position. We don't have many black lawyers in the country. That's how I feel immensely proud representing the black community wherever I go. That's how I see myself. And also helping people in our community. You know, can you imagine that someone, for instance, from Congo can come all the way from Congo and claim asylum in your own language? Can you imagine? So you don't need a translator. You have someone, I can speak 4 languages, and I can speak on those languages without an interpreter. And also, you speak to someone who understands your case and who is concerned about your case being successful, will go the extra mile to ensure that you get the proper support so that you don't make mistake in your claim. Will prepare you like a athlete going to the world championship so that you go and stand
And your
ready.
best foot. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the kind of standard that we set ourselves, and people are grateful for the work that we do. If you read our review, you'll see how people are grateful for the service. That,
So how do they normally find you? So
Online.
or just online?
if you
they
just go on Google,
Okay.
search for Cass and Co solicitors, we're online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And what's family life like now? And do your children, I think I'll bring the children into this, do your children understand the story they've been on?
No, really. But I tease them saying that you guys, if you were my father, I'm not sure if
I'll be here.
I'll be born.
Yeah.
Because of the challenge that I went through. I wish that you guys will be able to cope and then to be in the position where you are, because I keep telling my children that, look, even if I don't leave a house for you, even if I don't leave any fund in my bank account for you, the sole fact that I've been able to bring you to this country, giving you the opportunity I didn't have, for me, it's already an inheritance.
That's all I'm giving you.
Because I didn't have the opportunity that I gave you. If I had the opportunity that you have today, my life could have been different.
True, true. And I mean, because the one that is 28 years old, and I'm just trying to do the maths, he must have been quite aware when
To
you
an
guys came to the
extent,
UK.
They don't just, because
They was very young too.
when you never went to sleep without having food on your table, you have no idea what starvation is. You can hear a story, but no experience.
I understand. I'm just thinking now, you're right, because you guys still had, even though it wasn't a lot, you still had £600. So there's still food on the table, there's still electricity. So they probably don't appreciate the challenges that were happening. You
they have no idea.
I get.
But I can't blame them though.
Well,
you can't blame them.
That was what you wanted. You wanted them not to have to go through that.
Absolutely.
So you put in that
You
price.
can't
So-
blame them.
So John Paul, one for you, for those listening, and they are getting those rejections, they are starting from scratch, they've just relocated to the UK, or they've been in the UK for 20 years and they are now at that point where they're like, I think I'm gonna make a go for it. I've left it for 20 years, I want to make a go for it. Again, I'll leave it to 3. Can you give 3 solid advice for such people? from your own experience.
Never give up on your dreams. It doesn't cost you anything to have hope. Have ambition. Try. There is an expression in our country say, "Babanga ambula na mupepete." It means when you want to go out, and then there is a sign that is about to rain.
Yeah.
Just
go. Don't look at the weather.
Don't look at the weather.
I think Yoruba has something similar to that.
You know?
Yeah.
So don't be scared of the rain.
You won't go out.
But that's not the same. Something like that.
Don't be scared of
It's
the
about
rain
Jojo.
just because of the weather.
Yeah.
Look like it's about to rain, and then you just find a pretext not to do anything.
It just looks like your
Don't
own.
find pretext.
Yeah.
Try. As
Give
I
it a
say
go.
to you, give it a go. It's better to try and fail rather than being scared.
Perfect. So on that note, we have 3 minutes. So we have a tradition here on the show where we now turn the table. You are now the host. We are the guest. So ask us one question. Do you have any question you want to ask?
What has been the most difficult part of your settlement in the UK on your journey? If there is one thing that you can say, what was the most challenging part?
For me, it was starting my career back in 2006, around the same time you came. So it was starting my career, which then was what led me to eventually start Black Professionals UK, myself and Sade, which was what we invited you to speak at on Saturday around, the challenges we face. So 2006, 2007 was a different time to the time we live in now. The time we live in now, there's a law society of Scotland that is interested in diversity. In 2006, there was no interest in those things. So for me, that was the challenge, and it was because of that I and Sade then thought, what can we do to help others? And that's why we are putting in a lot of effort. And even this show it's again to share knowledge. So the original concept for this show was just me and Sade chatting about our story
and life
experiences. And then we thought, okay, instead of two of us just sharing our stories, why don't we invite 1,000 people to come share their stories and have a conversation with them? So and I enjoy that, because if this story affects one person, it's a win for us. If 100 people listen and one person changes something just because of that, it's a win. So for us, that's it. So we've got another tradition. We just
But I didn't ask any question to Sade though. Okay. How can you dare not give me
I thought that was a question for us.
No. Okay, I have a very different.
We've got 90 seconds, so go.
Sade, I have to tell the public that it has been an immense pleasure to see you.
Oh,
you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you so
much. And I wish they have the opportunity to see you, how amazing you look. If there was one thing that you want to change in the world, what would that be?
Just for us to be kinder. People are going through a lot. You never know what the person next to you is going through. Just be kind.
Thank you.
Be kind. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then the last thing is, our last tradition is we ask our current guest, to leave an advice for our next guest. Our last guest left, and they don't know who the next guest is. So our last guest, his advice is every day is a school day. So be open to learning every day. I think that applies perfectly to you. What advice do you have for our next guest?
It's a good thing to be useful to your community.
Okay.
Whoever has been helped, remember that the same help that you got, people need it.
Yep.
To be who you are, it's because you've been helped.
Yep.
Enjoy helping others. Inspire them. Support them. Never get tired of being helpful to your community.
Fantastic. That's
Thank you so much.
It's totally my line. That's my line on LinkedIn.
I won't believe he stole that, because he's doing what he's saying. So
he says, never get weary of doing good, which is fantastic. Never get tired of it.
Never get tired.
And you know what? Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Enjoyed
it's
it.
So awesome having you.
For those that are listening, I know there's a lot happening out there in the world, again, around immigration and all that. You've got Jambo here. You can find him on LinkedIn. You can find him on his website. If you type Cas and Co. Immigration lawyer or something along those lines on Google, you find him. It's been a pleasure. I'm genuinely inspired. I was inspired the day I ran into you. I'm inspired again just listening to the full story, and hopefully someone out there or more than one person will be inspired, but not just inspired, they'll be inspired to act.
Yeah.
On that note, that's been us.
Next time
on Enoch and Sade. Thank you very much, Sade. Thank you very much, Jambo, for joining us.
Thanks for coming, John. Really appreciate that.
Bye.